Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. If you haven't subscribed already, hit that sub button. Today's project, Honda Shadow 2005 750cc. The issue with this is when you're extracting it gives short of the shutter. So I'm guessing the jets of this bike is clogged, or it could be that since the pipes were straight pipe recently, it might need bigger jets, but I'm leaning towards the jets are clogged. So to start with, this tank needs to come off, two bolts there, and under this cluster gauge the wiring pin that's powering this dash needs to be unplugged. Once that is done, hoses that's connected in here to the fuel petcock, there's the breathe vacuum hose is right there on this side, and the fuel hose is just behind this. So you're gonna need a long nose plier to push those out. After that is done, this bolt needs to come out, and this whole tank can be pulled back. It should slide out easy and then lifted out and kept away. Alright, to start with, this needs to be come out, and these 5mm hex case shouldn't be too tight, comes out easy. And keep enough containers for all these bolts so that you don't mix them up or lose them. Two bolts, and there's the plug underneath, and let me, once this is unbolted, lift it up, and underneath this, that's where it get connected, and this is a rubber cover. Pull it back. In the middle of it there's a small tab that you can push on it and pull the clip out, and it can be clipped out. This is kept there to keep the cable from not moving. Don't put too much force on it, just slide and you can move it out of the way, and then you can take the dash out, keep it away. Once the dash is out, it's time to remove this. That's the vacuum hose that plugs into the back of the petcock. Turn to off, and on the fuel line there's a clip right on top of it. Use long nose pliers, push it back, and once it's pushed back, there's not much space left for you to put long nose pliers to pull the hose out. So use a flat screwdriver or something like that, and then push the hose away, and that's unplugged. Now to remove the bolt and then take the whole seat out. This is a custom made setup, I believe, so the seat and everything should come out together. That's unbolted. Lift the tank up like that, slowly wriggle it out, pull it back, and there it comes off. Keep it out of your moving area so that you're free to work on the bike. I'm using old tire to keep the tank on so that there won't be any damages to the underneath of it as well. Once the tank is out, the airbox needs to come out, and to do that there's one bolt over there, that's one bolt over there, and that's the idle cable over there, and that can be pulled out just like that. After those two bolts come out, this hose needs to be unplugged and the whole thing can be pushed out. The two bolts underneath here are 8mm ones, so let's take them off. Once the two bolts are out, use some kind of pliers, pinch the clip together and push it out of the way, and then the hose can be pulled out. After that's done, take Phillips screwdriver and loosen this clamp, and the airbox should pop right out. That's loose, and there you go. That's the airbox. After that is done, you need to remove the choke cable from there, and I believe that's a 17 mil. Yes, 17 mil nut is keeping it tightened onto this bracket. So loosen it slightly. It's just a pinch nut together. So once it's slightly loosened, you can pop it up, and there you go. A little bit of pressure and it just pops out right there. And let's move on to the other side again. Once the choke cable is out, now it's time to take the carb off. First of all, start by loosening this clamp up. Slightly pull it towards you and get this wire out of the way. Don't do anything to it yet. And removing the carb, there's two bolts right there. That's two clamps for the inner clamp and the outer clamp. Loosen up the outer clamp so that when you're pulling the carb out, the rubber manifold will stay in place. Before you pull the carb out, you need to take this hose off and that hose from the inside off. Remember where it goes so that you're not misplacing it when you're putting it back together. Taking the actuator cables off, there's a bracket in here with two bolts, and when you pull those bolts off, you should be able to take the actuator cables a bit down and pop these from this mechanism without even de-adjusting the actuator cables. So let's see how it goes. Remove these clips first, or you might be able to push them while the clips are on there. Yep, it's easy to push them out. Do the same with the other one. And once it's out, slowly lift it out of the place, and that's out. Now it's time to loosen up the carb assembly. Once it's done, this should pop right off. Well, it'll be slightly tight, so you might have to put some pressure in it. And there you go. That pops out. Let's take the actuator cable off. That's one cable off. And the other cable. Not easy, but try not to bend the cables too much, because if you bend it too much, that's gonna damage the cable. So pull the mechanism out. You can use pliers if need be, but don't damage it too much. And that's the second cable out. Once the cable assembly is out, you need to remove this sensor. That's a T25 Torx bolt. Undo that, and that pops off. There's nothing in it, so you don't have to worry about anything falling off, and that's not falling out as well. And after that is done, there's two hoses on the bottom. Those need to come off. And now you should be able to get the hoses out. You can use your pliers if it's too tight. And that's one hose out, and that's the second hose out. Now when you're putting it back together, don't miss these or mix these two hoses up. And there you go, that's how you take the 750cc carb out. Before you start doing anything with the carb, you're gonna have to drain the carb. This is the drain screw. It's underneath the carb, flathead screwdriver, and the petrol remaining inside this fuel ball should pour out from this point. That's the point. So I'm gonna go ahead and drain the carb first. So to start working on the carb, you're gonna have to take the fuel bowl out first. That's where your jets, floaters, and everything is sitting inside. So to take it off, these 4 bolts surrounding it needs to come out, and this one bolt, I believe, that's holding your choke mechanism. So go ahead and take that off and take the ball off, and the choke mechanism might come out with everything else together. So be ready for that as well. As you can see, I've dismantled the choke mechanism as well. So when you unbolt this bolt that can be removed, and this fuel bolt can be removed from the whole assembly. But when you're removing this bolt, make sure how all these washers and insets are going to come out of it. This bolt on top of here goes in first on from this side, and this white insert that's coming from the outside on top of after that white insert, this washer is gonna sit on top of that white insert and the spring washer. That's how that assembly is made, so make sure that's how it goes in back as well.
This is the inside of your carb. On top of that, there is your main jet. Inside that hole will be your pilot jet, which controls your idle. When taking these jets off, make sure you are gripping them properly. And if you have to apply a lot of pressure, make sure you're not shearing these off, because these can shear off very easily. Now to take the floor assembly off. To take the floor assembly off, there's a pin that goes in through there, and to do that, push it with a small pin, and you have to grab the end of with the plier and pull it out, just like that. And then you can lift off your floor assembly off of the carby. Taking the jets off, I'm gonna start with the main jet. Main jet sits outside, which is accessible, and it has a straight through hole. So when you got the jet in your hand and when you're looking it through, you should be able to see the other side. And now I'm looking through it and I can't see a lot of it through, so I can say that is clogged. um Now I'm gonna take the pilot jet off. Since that sits inside of a hole, you're gonna need a skinny flat screwdriver that can access it. And once it's loose enough, tip the carby over and it'll fall out. And same as the main jet, you should be able to see the other side through that jet as well. And if you can't, that means it's clogged as well. And yep, that jet that jet is clogged as well. So both these jets need to be cleaned out, and that explains why the bike has been running rough. To clean the carby, I use this carburetor cleaner and I spray in it and let it sit for a while. I've got a compressor, and once it's been sitting for a while, I use my compressed air through run it. But you can use this carby clean and just keep spraying, and it should.
I'll let the jets sit for a while. Now I'm gonna blow through them using my compressor, but make sure when you're blowing through it, it's not flying out of your hands, because that's not gonna end well. That's how we blow through it, just from one end to the other, and it's definitely clean. Do from the other end as well. And I'm not sure if you guys can see, there's tiny holes on this jet. Cover one end, well, or else cover the holes and then blow through it again. And now cover the bottom side of the jet and blow through the top part so that it'll blow the air through these small holes, clearing them as well. And I would say that's definitely clean now. And yep, that is clean.
Do the same with the main jet as well. It's a straight through hole, so just blow it through, and after that it should be clean. Now take the rest of the parts of the carb out. That's a 7 mm head on the main jet holder. Loosen that up.
Take that one out as well, and then you can clean the rest of the carb. That doesn't need cleaning, but so I'm gonna spray my carb cleaner in here and then blow through the holes as of this part as well. On some bikes this is a filter that can be taken out, but in this one there's no way to take it out, so I'm gonna leave it as it is, but I'm gonna still blow it through so it'll be still clean. So if you blow through the intake petrol intake hose, whatever that's stuck in there should clean out. So first blow into it and face the intake petrol hose away from you, otherwise it's gonna spray you. And through these holes as well, the jet holes. And what those holes inside. Most of these holes, when you're blowing through them, you should be able to feel the pressure of the air from this side or the other side. And now it's time to open up the other side. Now this is the diaphragm side. So 4 bolts there, and open this up so that you have access to the bolt. And when you loosen them first, and when you're opening this, make sure it's not gonna jump out, because this is under the pressure of a spring which is inside, and as soon as you take off the last bolts, it's gonna jump out. It's not gonna be too much of a pressure, but still make sure it stays in one place. So keep one finger on top of it so it's not jumping out, and you'll see what I mean in a few seconds. And that's the spring inside. So make sure this doesn't come into contact with fuel by any chance, because this is just to control the air. So if petrol gets come in contact with, it's gonna destroy this rubber, and you're gonna end up having to replace this. This is the needle, and if you need to change the needle settings, some diaphragms allow you to change the needle setting, but some of them don't. But I'm not gonna touch on this one, but there's a way to change it inside. And again, I'm not sure if there's a way to change this one, but there might be. I'm gonna leave it aside and gonna clean the inside of this side as well. Let's put the bolts away first so that they're not gonna flying away. And spray with that and compress air. And that side is done. Now when you're putting this in, I like to keep get the edge on like this, so it makes my life easier. I don't know, that's just how I prefer doing things. And this needle needs to go in through that hole in the middle, so make sure it goes in through that there, and done. That's seated. Now press that edge in. Make sure it goes into the groove nice and tidy. It can't be staying out when you're tightening everything. Spring goes in there. The cup goes on there. And there you go. Make sure this bracket goes into the right place as well, and then tightening everything. Alright, now the diaphragm side is put on. Now it's time to put this side together. Before you put that side together, this is your air screw. The factory manual says 2¼ turns out, so turn this in, counting it yourself how many turns you are turning in. That's half, 1, 1½, 2, and 2½, 3. So that's about 3/4. I'm gonna keep it at 2½ and see how the bike's gonna run. Half, 1, 1½, 2, and 2½. I can always change this if the bike runs shit. So to do that, we're gonna have to put the carb back in and see how it goes. So time to assemble everything.
It's your main jet holder. Put that in the place, and the pilot jet goes in that hole. And
Tighten that down. Don't over tighten them. Just give it just a bit of a nudge, and it should be good. Because if we're gonna over tighten them, and that's gonna shear off, and that's like a, I don't know, 10-day ordeal. Hopefully not. Before tightening that, you need to tighten this holder down. Same with it. And since you're using a ratchet or a spanner or something, it's easy to give more pressure than you should, so be careful you're not over tightening that as well. To put the floater assembly in, now see that edge on there, that slides into this bit. Once that's into, it's not gonna fall. Put it in place gently, and then you're gonna slide your pin in through there. Make sure it's all the way through. And now that everything's in, make sure this gasket around the fuel bowl is pretty good. It's not deteriorated or anything, because if it is, it's gonna leak fuel through this part. So that looks pretty good to me, so I'm gonna go ahead and tighten that down. Make sure you get the choke assembly right in its place so that you can tighten it down later. And that's in its place. I'm gonna go ahead and put a few nuts through so that it helps me to keep it in place. Get all of them contacted with the thread, but don't tighten them all the way down, because you still need to adjust your choke assembly. And if you haven't tightened all the way down, you still have a bit of a wriggle room to play with it. So let's put the choke assembly now. It's pretty easy. Just keep the whole assemblies. Now that's your assembly. Get this lever, goes underneath and sits on top of the choke assembly like that. that's your bolt and the white washer. That's not the insert, but goes outside. And that's your white insert. So it's gonna be easier if you turn it around like that. And then goes the washer on top of it, and then the spring washer. So now you have to send the bolt through it. Don't let everything else fall, and slowly let them get into place. And turn the carby so that it's easier for you to get everything into place, and tighten that bolt down. And that's it. You're pretty much done. And tightening all of these bolts off, and then you're ready to put the carby back in. Before I put in, if you remember, these two hoses from the bottom of the carb that came in last. So when you're putting in the carb in, everything's gonna happen in reverse. So these two hoses have to go in first. I'm gonna put a dab of rubber grease. That's rubber grease, just because it's gonna help with in the future, and it's not gonna seize up hoses. And if I need to take that off, that's gonna help me, because it's not gonna seize up and it's gonna come out really easy. Because when I took it off, everything was kind of seized and was hard to take off. Send your choke cable through and get your main fuel feed hose in line as well, and then plug these two hoses in. And see how easy that goes in. It's not going to contaminate the system or anything, because the rubber grease is on this metal part, and if whatever the excess, it's going to push back. It's not going to push in. But if you put it on the hose, yes, then it's going to push inside the system. Push them up as much as you can, because then it will be sealing proper. Once the hoses are in, you're gonna have to clamp the hoses together, hoses in. Get these clamps tight and wriggle it in. Once it's in place, that's one hose done, and the other. And there, that's both of them done. Once the hose is in, it's time to put your actuator assembly together. Now if you happen to take the actuator cables off rather than your assembly, or if you don't have an assembly to take off, just give it a nudge on your actuator, and whatever the cable that gets pulled when you accelerate, that's your actuator cable, and this is your return cable. So pull your actuator cable out as much as you can, send it through here, and get it positioned. Turn the assembly with your hand if you need to. It's gonna take a bit of tries. And there, that's your actuator cable in. Now your return cable goes in the same way. Make sure you are not cross-threading it, because if you cross-thread it, then there's no coming back. And that means your actuator assembly is buggered, and you probably might have to end up getting a whole new carby. After your assembly is tight, make sure these cables are in properly. Now if you can see, this is already loose, so just turn that a little bit in and lift this up and turn this down, and make sure with the actuator it's not getting pulled on the tension of this cable as well, and there needs to be at least a bit of free play. So why pull up? Because this sits against the groove in there and doesn't let this nut turn by itself once it's in properly. Now if you can see, when it's sitting properly, this nut doesn't turn no matter how hard you try. So tighten from this. That, I'm guessing that's a 10 millimeter. Yep, that's a 10 millimeter. And that's all in place. Check the same with the return cable. Return cable is in tight. And now it's time to put this sensor in. There's a groove in the sensor that goes in, so make sure that goes in properly into that groove. Now before putting this in together, if you remember, these vacuum hoses need to go. So do the same with that. Put a bit of rubber grease around there and where the other vacuum hose goes, and around this mouth, because when it goes in there, it's gonna go in much more nicely when it's got some rubber grease around it. I've put rubber grease on. Now it's time to push this thing in. Get this out of the way and into its place, so then it's easier to slide everything on. And that's in. Put your vacuum hoses in there. Don't mix them up. And that goes in there. Send your wire through this holder that's in there. And now that the carb is in place, don't forget to tighten out the bracket in there. If that bracket stays open by any chance, that's gonna suck in more air in than it should, and then the bike's just gonna run like shit. Just remember, when you're sliding this carb in, the carb slides into a groove in the rubber manifold, so make sure you align that carb with that rubber manifold in there. And that's tight in there. It's time to put the rest of the bike together. Like I said, it's reverse of everything you did. This hose just goes into there. That's an overflow, and that's a breather hose that goes into your airbox. You can put rubber grease on this too if you want, but not necessary. There you go. And let's put everything back together, tighten everything up, bolt up, and start this thing. Alright, everything's bolted in. I've had the battery on charge while I was doing it so that it would have some power to give it a juice. And if you're wondering why I had the power terminal onto this is the main 12 volt wire that's coming onto the starter solenoid, and that's the direct connection to your battery. So 12 volt can go in there, and the negative anywhere on the bike that has an earth. That's an easy way to find your charge. Let's see how this fires up. Pull your choke cable, turn your gas to on or reserve, and remember, it's gonna take a while because the carb has been fully drained, and the fuel petcock only activates on vacuum, so the more it cranks, the more fuel it's gonna get into the carb, so it's gonna take a while. Let's see how it goes though. once it gets to operating temperature, then you can put the choke in and adjust your idle, and then check the throttle response. Now that was a pretty good throttle response. There was no lagging, no backfiring, nothing. It was revving up perfectly fine. Now take it for a test ride and see how well you have done.
Um, I would say that was pretty successful. Bike wasn't lagging, had heaps of power compared to how it was before. And that's it, folks. That's how we do a carb tune-up and a clean on a Honda Shadow 750cc 2005. I believe this would be the same for like the adjoining years as well. So if this was useful, like my video and subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video. Thank you.